Our local yarn shop is hosting a knit along for the Nordic mixed sweater. And this sweater has become very popular on Ravelry. And so I thought I would show you today exactly how to do the steeking process for the sleeves. I have my sample here of my sweater. I'm getting ready to steek. And just a little bit of instruction. I wanted to show you that this area right here is on your pattern. They will ask you to bind off 6 stitches, which will get you ready for the steek of the sleeve. The next row, you will be told to cast on 6 stitches, and you'll be working this 6-stitch pattern all the way up until you get to the shoulder seam. What I've done here is, in order to show myself where I'm going to be doing my cutting, I have taken a piece of bright colored yarn. You can see it's kind of pulled down in there, but you can see that this is where I'm going to be doing my cutting. It's going to be between stitch number 3 and stitch number 4. So if you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my cutting will be going right up between stitches 3 and 4. But in order to secure that, we're going to be doing what's called a crocheted steek. So for this process, I'm going to have my sample, my demonstration sample, so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to need a crochet hook. I'm going to need a pair of very sharp scissors. And I'm also going to need some extra yarn. I'm going to use a bright colored yarn so you can actually see my crocheted steek, but you can use either your main color or your contrast color, either one, for your crocheted steek. I have already done a running stitch with a double strand of yarn up my modified sample here between stitches 3 and stitches 4. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a length of my yarn and I'm going to tie a slip knot. And then I'm going to identify what I need to do my crocheted steek through. So I have my rows 3 and 4. I need to do my crocheted steek on the left leg of row 4 and the right leg of row 5, right here. Okay, you don't want to do it so that it is in the same stitch here, okay? And the beauty of the design that she has put together in this area is you will see that you're going to need one color of your main color or one strand of your main color and one strand of your contrast color in each crocheted loop for your steek. So I'm going to turn this so I can fold it a little bit. I think it's helpful if you can fold it between, this is row 4 and this is stitch 4 and stitch 5. And I'm going to take my crochet hook and I'm going to put it right between stitch 4 and stitch 5. I'm going to take my slip knot and put it on my crochet hook. And I'm going to pull that through those 2 legs of the stitches. I'm going to move up to the next row, go through, pull it through the 2 legs of the stitch and through my crocheted loop. I'm going to move to the next one, pull it through, and my crochet loop. And next. I'm going to keep working until I go all the way to the top. Steeking can also be done on the sewing machine. However, with this particular sleeve, I think it's more difficult because of the tight space which you will be working. A crocheted steek seems to work much better. I've almost gotten to the top of my sample. The size of crochet hook that I'm using is one that matches the size of my knitting needle, so I'm not using a real small one. Okay, I'm doing my last stitch. I'm going to cut my yarn and I'm going to pull it through the loop, and we'll secure that better after we do our other side. Okay, so you can see there's my steek, there's my crocheted steek. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. We're going to start again going the same direction as we did on this side. And I like my crochets to be facing the center where I'm going to be doing my cutting. I think it makes it easier when you're going to be doing your folding for picking up the stitches for the sleeve. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my yarn. I'm going to make my slip knot. Oops. Tighten it up. I'm going to find where I'm going to be doing my stitches. Here's my center. Here is row 3. Here is row 2. I'm going to go between rows 2 and 3, the right leg of row 3 and the left leg of row 2, or stitch 2, I'm sorry, stitches, not rows. And I'm going to pull that through. And I think going on this direction is a little more awkward for me because I'm right-handed. But I think it's important to go the same direction that you would be going, you know, taking both sides of your steek the same direction. Oops. And keep working all the way to the top. Just about there. And then comes the fun part where we do our cutting. Okay, and there we go. So the last thing I'm going to take, I'm going to cut my yarn, pull it through. Okay, so you can see that I have my chain here on one side, my chain on the other. If I fold it back a little bit, you can see, okay? The last thing I need to do before we start to cut is I'm going to take my tapestry needle and the ends of my yarn, and I'm going to secure them really well before we cut. I'm going to take it through my loop. And again. And then I could weave in my end on the back when I'm done. Okay, I'll do the same thing on both sides and the bottom. So I'll secure my ends, both sides. Oops. And I'll secure the bottoms as well. Okay, now comes the fun part. We're going to do our cutting. Okay, so I'm going to find where I'm going to be doing my cutting. You can see that I have, here's my waste yarn. I'm going to put my scissors right in there and I'm going to cut. Now make sure that you use scissors that are extremely sharp. Okay, and as I cut, I'm going to follow where I put my waste yarn right up the center. And I can pull that out just a little bit so that I know exactly where I'm cutting. Right between those two stitches in the center. See that? And there you have it. Okay, those are real good and sturdy. They're not going to go anywhere. And then when I get ready to do my the stitches pick up for my sleeves, I will be able to use my crochet hook. We'll pick up the stitches right in this row right here, and then this part will be folded back to the inside. And because of the way you've steeked it, you can tuck those raw ends underneath, and then you'll be able to do a whip stitch to hold this part down, and your sleeve stitches will be picked up in this area right down here. Okay, the side, same thing. You'll be picking up your stitches in this row of stitches right here. This will be folded back. This will be folded under. And then you've got a nice secure edge to whip stitch that down, and it will hold it in place. And it'll be nice. It'll be a nice smooth edge for picking up those stitches. Okay, hopefully that helps all of you with your steeking process. Help you feel a little bit more comfortable with doing it. It's okay to cut your knitting, and you will have a beautiful product when you're all finished.